Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Culture Study. I'm your host Jack, joined with my fellow co-host
Giovanni.
Alright, so we are back today with another episode, of course. Gio, what album are we looking at today?
Today we're going to go a little bit back in years and look at Ikon's Return album, which is a very big... That album was very big for that group. It basically saved the group, and today we're going to be talking about the songs, the lyrics, everything that there is to talk about. We will be talking about it.
Alright, so let's just get straight into it with song number one. Or, first off, is there any context that you need to give to the album?
Actually there is. So, Ikon is a 7-member boy group. I'm really hoping that's correct, or else that's going to be embarrassing. No, it's a 7-member boy group that debuted after they won a survival show. Basically, a survival show is when different trainees compete against each other, and the best, or the members who are most popular, are selected for the group. And then the group debuts, and then maybe a year or two later they disband. That's basically what survival shows are. But this one was a little bit different because it was a competition between two teams, I guess you could say. It was Ikon and Winner. And Ikon ended up winning the show, so they were allowed to debut. But the thing that kind of confused everybody was only Ikon was supposed to debut. But a few months later, Winner, the team that lost, also debuted, and everyone was kind of like, what is going on here? Anyways, that happened. But the company decided to push the Japanese market with Ikon instead of their domestic work in Korea. So they basically they debuted in Korea, and then they went for 2 years to Japan. Everyone forgot about them in South Korea. It was kind of like they were hoping that Ikon would be based in South Korea, obviously because they're a Korean group, but YG Entertainment sent them to Japan to open up the market for them. They did really well. On the Japanese side, they were killing it. Literally most people in Japan knew who they were. They were killing it. But everyone in South Korea literally forgot about them, or for the most part. And when they came back with Return, how it's a very fitting title for them, their return to Korea, this album literally saved them, because before this, nobody was really paying attention to them. But with Love Scenario, that kind of was consumed by literally everyone in Korea. Children were singing it, teenagers were singing it, even older adults were singing it. It was literally the song in Korea in 2018. And it got so bad that the Korean government actually banned kids from singing it, because everyone was obsessed with this song. And because of that, Ikon recovered their popularity, the popularity that they had before, and grew even more from it. And for Ikon, this is a very meaningful album.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Other facts that you should know about this is that in 2018, Love Scenario won Song of the Year. I think I told you that before in a different episode. It won Song of the Year, and B.I., the one who composed and wrote it, won Songwriter of the Year as well. So it's a huge milestone for Ikon and B.I. Because, to give context, at the time, BTS was really blowing up. So that the fact that they beat BTS for Song of the Year is a very big thing.
Interesting.
That's basically it.
Alright, well, without further said, let's get straight into it. Of course, the first song being the one that you were talking about, Love Scenario. What did you think about this song?
I absolutely adore this song. When I first heard it back in, I think, late 2019, when I was like kind of into K-pop and was starting to explore everyone, I fell in love with the song. It kind of has it's very unique to different songs that were out at the moment, because in 2019, Twice released Fancy and Feel Special, and other groups were released. Everybody else was like doing their own thing, or following the trend, I should say. And then Ikon came out of nowhere with Love Scenario, which was like something very different from basically the trend of 2019. And that's why most people fell in love with it, because it was like sonically it was very unique to everything else, and the lyrics resonate a lot with the youth, because it's kind of like a post-breakup song. And as you can see in some of the lyrics, it was it's very interesting how they presented the song, or how I think there was two others that helped them write it, how they presented the song, because it's kind of like during the pre-chorus there are some lyrics that indicate that they're connecting like the breakup of their relationship to like the ending of a film or a show, because I think right before, like, the last line of the pre-chorus, it says something about the curtains closing, and I thought that was very interesting. What did you think, Jack?
I definitely enjoyed this song. I especially loved all the vocals in it. You know, there's a couple of times where, you know, it's something I'll like get into later. I think it's with the next song, but it's like you know, there's a couple of times with when you have, you know, groups, and then you especially have like multiple singers in a group. You know, there's a lot of times where you know, some people, it's like they won't like certain parts, but like this was one of those songs where I really enjoyed every member's part in it. You know, I don't know. There was just there was a lot of I liked about this song, and you know how you kind of mentioned the thing about you know, it kind of seems like it's like maybe talking about like the show. I know like this line can be interpreted in many ways, but I like the part where it says I learned so much from you. I filled up my other half. You're too precious to just leave in the past. Like obviously I can know what that line's like referring to in a different sense, but like I can also look at that line and think of it like as speaking in terms of the memories they made while being on that show, you know.
Mm-hmm. So I think I should pull up the lyrics, because there's one lyric in particular that gets me every time. Give me a second.
While you're looking it up, a lyric that I thought hit different was, it said, "We were in love, we met, that's good enough, I loved you." And like, I think the part that really hits different about that set of lyrics is just the part where it's like, all right, that was good enough. You know, the fact that like it's one of the things like the fact that I met you is good enough. You know, like there's certain people that like the way my dad always puts it, it's like there's certain people who are only gonna ever be there for a chapter of your life. You may think that they're there for the whole book, but some people are only there for a chapter. And it's like, while it is a bit sad, sometimes you just have to look at it and be thankful for the fact that they were even in your life to begin with, you know, for some cases of people.
Mm-hmm. I found the line. It says, today was our yesterday and now there's no tomorrow. It hurts, but if we dragged it out more, it would have become a scar. I loved you and I was loved back, so that's good enough for me. It's like the first verse of the song. And the part that really gets me was, today was our yesterday and now there's no tomorrow. And personally, I have like a weakness towards lyrics like this. Like basically anything that expresses like the termination of anything, like the end of something, and there's nothing after that. It really hits me, because you could kind of, I don't know, like the most obvious thing that you could connect it to is death, obviously. Like once you die, afterwards everyone continues with their lives, but you don't exist and you won't know anything. That's why that hits me so hard. But then in other parts of the song, it says, we met and became a memory that can't be erased. It was a commendable melodrama, a pretty good ending. That's all I need. I loved you. It really does feel like a poem to me.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Really?
Just like the way the way the lyrics are written, you could definitely like. It could be seen as a poem.
I can see that a lot. Yeah, I really enjoyed a ton of the lyrics from this song, and really strong start for the album.
Definitely.
All right. The next song is Beautiful. What did you think about this song, Jim?
This is a very upbeat song. Like, it's different. Well, it's kind of like the pre-love scenario, I guess, if you will, because it talks about, like the initiations of love, or like having a crush on someone, and I don't know, you kind of like expressing how you see her or what she means to you, like during that stage of a relationship, I guess. And I really like the vocals in this song.
Yeah, I enjoyed this song too, as well as much as the previous one. The one part that like I don't know, I'm still like thinking about is just like the little intro. I think it's because of the distortion, because like the distortion effect they did at the beginning, it kind of sounded off to me compared to like the rest of the song. Because when I heard the two members parts on the song compared to like that little distortion part, like I don't know, it just kind of the effect wasn't the best, if I had to put it in like into words, like other than just it sounded off. Like I don't know, it didn't sound as well mixed, I guess you could say.
I mean, would you say like it doesn't fit with the rest of the song?
I think that's another thing too, is I don't think it necessarily fit, which is funny because other than that intro, the part I loved the most about this song was how well put together the entire song was, like as a whole. Like I just want to say, it's well, nowadays, especially on the western side, it's a lot more appreciated, to the point where even some people claim that a lot of musicians nowadays, they're only, how would you say, their careers are made by the producers,
Mm-hmm.
like in their work, because like how many times we hear like, oh, this rapper was carried by the beat that he got, and like if people didn't like the beat, they wouldn't like the song, because like you would realize the lyrics aren't that good and his flow isn't that good or whatever, but like with this song, I really like this song. Is a song I'd point to show my appreciation towards the musical producers and technicians, because like I said, it's getting more recognition now on the West, but it truly was for the longest time like an underrated aspect of music, because it's like, and I think it's probably even more impressive and difficult to do in the K-pop genre, because like how I was mentioning earlier with Love Scenario, you have all these different vocals that you have to because when it comes to K-pop and their groups, there's a lot more members, so it's like, for example, you said there was like 7 members in this group, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
For the technicians and producers, that's 7 voices they have to tune and fit onto the song, and then go even a step further, and with something as little as a placement, like where do we place these different vocals at, who goes after one another, and that's something that was really 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 well showcased on this song, that I really enjoyed, was just the transition from one member to another was always so, like, it was such a good example of well placement, because like you went from two members, and they had like higher pitched voices and faster verses. To then you went to the next guy who it was a little bit of a lower pitch. It was a bit slower, but it like that transition still went smoothly and it didn't seem off. I really enjoyed that member's verse and stuff on this song. I would say the name, but you know me, I don't want to end up mispronouncing things and offending people. But I really enjoyed the guy's verse.
No, you should give it a try, and I'll just correct you.
If I remember correctly, I think the way I saw it's supposed to be pronounced is Junhei.
Oh, Junhei, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah,
his
really
vocals
are.
I really enjoy his vocals because they kind of add they add so much to the song. Because you have I'm just gonna say the names of the other members, because you have members like DK and Jay.
Those
and
are the
their
two
voices
I had highlighted.
Yeah, their voices are kind of like on those the softer, higher side of things.
Yeah.
And then you just have you go from their voices to June, and his voice is so it has that raspy tone to it, and it it's a good going back and forth between the two.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of this song as a whole. I mean, the song itself is very good. I enjoyed a lot of the lyrics in it, but that was the main highlight for me, was just how well mixed together this song was, and how well placed each person's vocals and their placement on the song itself is really good. I honestly think that's kind of the reason why we don't see a lot of it more on the western side, because when I think about it, it's you don't really see a ton of I don't really want to call them we definitely don't see a ton of groups anymore on the western side. We usually see only even in different genres, you only see one lead singer, one main rapper, and or a solo rapper. You don't see the groups too much. And even when it comes to just songs, you don't really see much of those songs anymore where there's a ton of people on it. Back in especially the early 2010s, especially in the rap genre, there was a ton of songs where you'd get multiple people on one track. And I think now, especially, it's probably more difficult due to the cost it would take to get get all those different people to feature on your one song. But then also, I think at this point, a lot of those producers and technicians just think it's way too much work for whatever they probably get paid.
Probably. And the sad thing about it is, when it comes to K-pop, those producers and technicians don't really get the recognition that they deserve. It's mostly at most, well, the people that don't know, which is the vast majority, I'd say, they would just say, oh, the instrumentals of this song are good, and that's basically it. And then they just focus, the rest of their attention goes towards the members or the member that they like, and that's about it. And unless because with Dreamcatcher, everyone the fandom knows who the producers and composers are, because they repeatedly mention their names. It's Elise and Olander, something like that. So unless the group mentions who they are, the fandom doesn't really care, doesn't give them the attention that they deserve. Everything goes towards the idols, and all the credit goes towards the idols, because instead of saying for music videos, it's instead of saying Wooji Kim did a good job on this music video, it says, oh, so and so did a good job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely an underrated aspect in the entirety of music across all genres. I think really good.
Oh, I was gonna mention, the funny thing about this song is that Ikon did a self-produced music video for it, and for the moments that they needed a girl or a female actress to play the part, since they were doing it themselves, they had to use their own money. So they just decided to dress some of the members as females and record it that way. It's so funny, dude.
Oh man, That's actually kind of funny to think about. I'll have to check out that music video.
Dude, and like the funniest bit is like they didn't even try to change like their voices. They didn't even like try to speak higher. Like with June, he has like a deep voice. So when like the male, like I guess like the male lead said like, "Oh, do you want to be my girlfriend?" He replied in his deep voice, and there's literally nothing funnier than that.
Oh man, I gotta check that out. Then that sounds too funny. Cause that's another thing I want to explore. Is more. I definitely want to look at more music videos. Cause like I think I brought it up one time, or it might have been in the K-pop episode we did on the main podcast. But I want to like see like the different sides of music videos. You know, see the variety of it all. Cause for the most part, most of the ones I've seen, it's just like, you know, like kind of what I said in that video, what you come to expect of like choreographed dancing and stuff like that. I definitely want to see a lot more of music videos to expand my knowledge on them.
Yeah, if like it would be like it would make a good episode, I guess. If I don't know, I just send like a few music videos your way, and then we just come back and just talk about what you thought of it. Well, I guess. Moving on to our next song, One and Only, B.I. Soda. What did you think of this?
So seeing as how we reviewed BI like a couple episodes back, I kind of knew what to expect when walking into this song, and while I didn't enjoy it the most like sonically, I did enjoy like a lot of what he was saying on this song, and the one thing I definitely have to say is I can respect the confidence he had on this track. There was a lot of lines on here where I was like, "Oh, this man's spitting," you know.
Yeah, one of my favorite bars is when he says, "My way, if I was supposed to live and die for the charts, I wouldn't be making music anyways."
Yeah, I like that lyric as well.
Yeah, that really resonates with him because he was literally like in charge of making sure the next song of Ikon was the hit, and he got so obsessed with it and like so like consumed by the pressure that that's what led him to like I think I mentioned it before, like he ended up buying drugs to find that escape from all the pressure, but he didn't use those drugs, and like eventually his like mentality changed, and well, that's the results of it. He's like, screw the charts, I'm just gonna do what I want to do.
Yeah, I really like that line. As far as like adding to the whole thing about the confidence, the one lyric that like stuck out to me that like kind of showed that confidence was it said, "Walking this path alone, a samurai sharpening my blade in the shadows." Like I thought that was a really cold line. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
He was spitting on the track, man, and like I said, I don't know what it was necessarily like sonically wise about the song. Like it's probably one of those things where it's like if I listen to it a bit more I'll get used to it, but like I really did as a whole enjoy a lot of like the stuff he said on this track.
Yeah, this is a good example of what Korean rap is like. It's a lot like compared to like his Cosmos album, like what we saw in Flame and Alive. This is more like, I guess, traditional Korean rap, where it's more like kind of reminds me of like the old days, like the 90s rap on the western side, where it was kind of like people just turned on the beat and they just started talking what was on their mind. Like it was like kind of like freestyling, I guess. And yeah, like there was actual like meaning behind what they were saying. Nowadays on the western side, it's just finding out a different way to say the same thing over and over again. But like during the chorus when he says, "I'm a dote," South Korean's dote, one and only, curse word, one and only. A dote, I did some research on it, is basically it means like the last cigarette in a pack, and I guess because it's Korea's like known to be like a high smoking country, the last cigarette is given a lot of it's like it's precious because it's the last one. So that's what it means. Like he's the last of his kind in Korea. and that's why he's untouchable, because he's the last one. It's like they can't like dispose of him and make a new one. He's literally all they got, according to him. That's why he says one and only.
Yeah, see, and that's that confidence I was talking about. And the one thing I want to include quickly is, one thing I've had to learn. I had to learn it for a different reason, but a lot of people, they don't really know the difference between confidence and arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the one thing that really makes this song about having confidence rather than him coming off as arrogant or braggadocious is that at the start of the song, he literally says, "This isn't a song where I'll pretend to be strong and act tough." And then he literally says, "I'm standing right at rock bottom. So if you're going to stare, then lower your eyes first." So it's like, it tying into obviously what happened in real life, the whole rock bottom point too. But like, he gets it straight out the way that like, he himself doesn't necessarily view himself at an equal level solely because of what's happening, the fact that he's at rock bottom, but he still has that ability to be confident in himself and his ability and know that he's going to be able to get out of this and still be the same person that he is because he's one of a kind.
Mm-hmm. I think, dude, I had a thought in my head. Damn. That's annoying. I was going to say something. I guess let's just move on. I don't think it's going to come back anytime soon.
Alright, for sure. Our next song is, let's see. Oh, Jerk, yeah. Our next song is Jerk. What do you think about the song, Gio?
It's very powerful, in my opinion. There's a lyric, I was going to get straight into it. There's a lyric in here that just kind of, it doesn't resonate with me because I've never been this kind of person. But it says, "In my foolishness, I beat a beautiful flower like you. I was so full of greed, and in the end, you were wilted. You witted. You were witted?" I guess it's like, because there's like, on certain videos, there's like iffy translations. So it might not sound like the best in English. But I thought that was a powerful line. Because you see in most cases, it's like, the girl gets hurt just being with the guy, and the guy is literally just acting like himself. Like, he's not going out of his way to be a jerk. How fitting. It's just like his personality is just not they're not meant to be together. And in the end, because of how the guy is, the girl suffers a lot. And this song is kind of like him realizing this afterwards, like after the fact. And I guess it's not even like right after that he started like thinking about it. This could be like years later when he's like matured and he's like reflecting back. He's like, damn, I shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? Because like we've had those moments where you just kind of look back and it's just like, I really shouldn't have been doing that to this person or whatever.
My nighttime is full of that. There's the reason that for years I haven't been able to sleep well. But I live by what's the way to put this? It's definitely a common human feeling, to look back at a lot of the stuff you did, whether it was like to multiple people, to a single person, and you're just like, you wish you could go back and change. But like, I think, if you want to say, if you want to find beauty in the madness, in a sense, the way that you can look at it is that, or like the way I helped myself get through like feelings like that was by telling myself, if you're feeling bad about it now, that just demonstrates the growth you've made as a person, where when it originally happened, you may have not seen any wrong in what you did. You may not have seen you may not have been able to recognize because you weren't mature enough, you weren't in the right mental space, but the fact is you're able to recognize it now because you've gotten to that point of maturity, or you're in a good headspace now. And the only thing you can do to, like, if you're feeling guilty, if you feel like you you have a if you feel like you need to right your wrongs, the one thing I can say is, well, one, you can't right those wrongs because they're in the past. There's no way to right it. Even if you go to someone and they forgive you for that, like for something you did in the past, you know, that still doesn't mean you righted a wrong. If that makes sense, because it's like, yeah, they forgive you, but like that's always gonna be like a moment in time in a sense, like
Mm-hmm.
like because me personally, even if I've gotten forgiveness from people, I still to this day at times like think back and I'm just like, it still irks me that I did that thing. So it's like that feeling is still gonna be there. But so like the thing I say is the only way you can right your wrong essentially is by moving forward in life with that in mind and knowing to not repeat that process. If
Mm-hmm.
you wrong someone in your past, move forward in life avoiding wronging another person that same way.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this, but when a person, let's say like something happens like years ago, like say like you were a bully in high school or whatever, and then years later you look back at like all the horrible things you did to this innocent kid, and let's say you go out of your way to find this person to apologize. To me, the apology isn't to make them feel better; it's to make yourself feel better, and that's kind of in my eyes like a worthless apology because it's not doing the person that you did harm to feel better. You're just making yourself feel better so you feel like you corrected that wrong and you're like relieved of what happened. That's just how I see it because like I agree with you, like the only true way to um like to how did you say it?
Right or wrong?
Yeah, to right or wrong is I don't know, just kind of like self-reflect on like the horrible stuff that you did, or like not even horrible stuff that you did, just like on the stuff that you did, and be better. That's basically it. There's literally no point in going and apologizing to a person because they're going like that trauma is not going away just because you decided to randomly apologize.
Yeah, and I think to add on to what you're saying, I think like the advice that I want to give to people, because yes, many times when people go to apologize, I get what you're saying. Like a lot of times, people do only go to apologize because they have a guilty conscience, and like they want some type of closure to help them get over the way they're feeling. Like they want to
Mm-hmm.
stop feeling that way. So a lot of times, it definitely isn't generous. But like to me, I think the way you could be generous is one, tying back to what I said, demonstrating the growth and change, because an apology, I mean, how many times did we hear like teachers say it? An apology doesn't mean anything if you continue to like repeat the actions that you're apologizing for. So like
Mm-hmm.
if you truly want to apologize, it's to demonstrate the change that you've made, the growth you've made as a person from whatever you previously were. Like honestly, if someone was a bully in high school and later in life they realize their wrongs, you want to right that wrong, start doing stuff that it's gonna make you personally feel like you righted that wrong, or to right that wrong. Like start advocating for anti-bullying. Make sure that any kids you raise, you instill it into them to not bully someone for something as little as whatever it may have been, their looks, um their the way they speak, whatever it may be that someone gets bullied over for, like stuff like that. And then like the way I see it, like I know some people, they're like, oh, they can't like again, they want to apologize to the person because maybe unlike others, maybe from them they truly feel it in their heart to apologize to that person. Then it all depends on like the way you do it. Like you don't want to go and apologize and make them essentially feel guilty in a sense, you know? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and like almost in a way of like pressuring them to give you forgiveness, you know, like being like, oh, because of you, I've turned into such a great person. Now I'm doing this and this to, you know, prevent like the things I did to you. Like that doesn't really help the case because that turns into what like you're saying, where it's like, you know, it's all about like clearing their conscience, and you know it may force someone to feel like they have to forgive you for the things you did, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The way I've always taken apologies is I've always told them, I've always told people straight up, I'm not doing this to force you to forgive me, to make you feel like you have to forgive me. I'm just doing this from basically like this is genuinely coming from the heart when I say like I want to apologize for like the things I've said to you, did to you, whatever it was. You know, I made sure they knew it was from a place of genuine emotion. You know, rather than you know this giving them this feeling of like I want you to forgive me. So like how you're saying, I want you to forgive me so I can feel better. You know, like I've always made sure it was about them because I always like that. That's the one thing I always emphasize to them was you know I'm apologizing for what I did, and I also accept the fact that if I hurt you enough that you aren't able to forgive me, you know, like I'm like again my main focus of this apology or my main goal of this apology isn't for me to get you to accept my apology. You could deny my apology, you could deny forgiveness from me. That doesn't matter to me. All I care about is that the fact that you just at least know that I'm sorry for my actions, you know. And that's definitely like a mindset more people need to take because how many times have people like gone to apologize or gone for forgiveness and they get upset because they weren't given it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the end of the day, so many people say you aren't owed forgiveness. You know, you aren't owed forgiveness, especially for the trauma you induced upon a person. You know, a lot of people, honestly, and like this isn't like to single out anybody or single out like a single group, but it's especially common in the older generations compared to like our generation now, and even the group like the small group of like age group before us. It's like a lot of the older people kind of like have that mindset of like they expect forgiveness or they expect for an apology to be accepted, you know. And our generation is kind of like you aren't owed that forgiveness for again like if you invoke trauma upon a person. And some people look at that as you know petty or holding grudges, but like genuinely they kind of underestimate the amount of hurt and trauma that can be induced upon a person from another person, you know. And so it's like
Mm-hmm.
people aren't owed anything, you know. Like, and you know, if I know it's like some people are like, oh, you can't take it to like the grave or whatever. Like that's the extreme extent they take it. Oh, do you want to die knowing you didn't you were holding grudges, you know? But like to me, it isn't holding a grudge. It's genuinely someone inflicted pain upon you, and many times, like how you were saying it, they don't show that genuine change, that genuine they don't demonstrate the fact that they genuinely are sorry, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Half the time, so many people, like how you were putting it, they just go to seek an apology, especially because many times they feel like they have to do it rather than out of the genuineness, you know.
Yeah, I think it's not really. I wouldn't see it as being petty or holding a grudge. It's more like even like actually holding people accountable for their actions. That's how I would put it. But then I guess others would disagree, depending on what kind of like where they're coming from. I guess because if you, I mean, nowadays everyone kind of keeps everyone like accounted for, even for like the smallest of things. So it could get out of hand. But when it actually matters, people, or from what I've seen, is like it's not really being petty because you did something horrible to me, and I'm like, I don't know. It's just kind of like it's hard to forgive someone for inflicting something on you, because like we're kind of past those times where like, oh, person A says I'm sorry, person B, you good, and then they go on about their lives, denying how they actually feel because of how society wants, how you're supposed to portray yourself to society. Nowadays, if you do something to someone, you're literally never going to, like, it's never going to die down. It's always going to be there. Like, whenever you try to engage in something, people from your past are going to come back. Like, what about this that happened in high school? What about all those times that you bullied me and stuff? And, like, you see that a lot in, like, to connect it back to, like, the whole K-pop. You see that a lot in K-pop Twitter, and K-pop in Korean society, because if you do something wrong, people never forget. And I guess some take it way too far, but when it actually does matter, it's nice to see that it's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I don't think we as a society have found like a healthy medium just yet, between when it comes to this type of stuff, especially accountability, because like kind of like what I was saying, there's some people who show that genuine, emotion of like regret and, show actual change and growth. And then there's others that don't, and I don't know, society so far has yet to kind of find like I said, a healthy middle ground of like, these are the people that, in a sense we can move on with, knowing that, they're genuine about the change they're making, the growth they want to make to prevent this stuff. And here are the people we need to move on from because they aren't being genuine. They're just giving an apology because they had to, Because, I mean, how many times have we seen that where a celebrity, an artist, whatever, someone big, at least in terms of like society status or social status, they give out this clearly written, PR type apology, and people are just like, oh, they apologized years ago for it. And then how many times have we seen like actual genuine, like from the heart apologies and seen people change and grow as a human, and yet they still get that held over their heads,
Mm-hmm.
Like,
because the thing with like Western, or not everyone, because there are some cases where people actually mean what they're saying, but literally like every time I see an apology, it's literally like the same thing. I don't know, I was ignorant of this, I'll do better in the future. And like, I don't know, it's just copy pasting the last apology from said celebrity.
Yeah, and real quickly, there's 1:50 left on this episode, so before we transition to episode 2, I want to ask you, as we're talking about all this, to tie it back to, of course, what we're really talking about, the song, how is B.I. perceived in Korea, even now to this day, after that huge scandal?
His image has gotten a lot better, because he's like a good example of what people should do. He did a wrong, he went off to a little hiatus, and when he came back, he immediately started doing good for the community. He did a lot of charities, like all of the profits of his songs go to charities, and he does he's been doing a lot of stuff for the community, and people are kind of like, what's the word, like lightening up their grip on what he did, I guess.
Interesting. That's good to hear, because that's a case of like, again, someone demonstrating that they've grown and developed as a human, and they demonstrate again just that growth and especially maturity,
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, thank you all for joining for this episode. Tune into part 2, where we will hopefully cover the entire rest of the album, because this is only 3 songs in, and 4 songs in. No, 3. Wait, 4. We were 4 songs in. I forgot we were talking about Jerk. Yeah, so we will see y'all in part 2 to cover the rest of Ikon's album Return.